mouth and say, I'm redeemed tonight? Come on, you can't be tired. Come on. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so.
Give it up for my daddy. Now can you make some noise for Pastor Chris Riggins, everybody?
Oh yes, I am redeemed, yeah. And I know I didn't deserve it, no, but he did it anyway, yeah. I've been bought with the price. Jesus has changed my whole life. Oh, I am redeemed. Gotta tell it everywhere I go. I am redeemed. Oh, every chance I get, I'll live it out. Yes, I will. I'm so glad tonight that he brought me back from a state of hostility. I gotta tell him what he done for me. Out there I sit down and I say a word. I gotta tell it. Yeah. And somebody may be wondering how I got redeemed. Let me tell you how it all took place. One Friday, he shed his blood. And I thank God tonight that his blood washed me white as snow. What he You ought to testify.
Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB.
Macon and WDDO 980 AM.
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett, Westbrook, and Mr. DUMAS.
Somebody just make a thunderous praise in here today. More than just your hands, with your voice. Shout unto the Lord with the voice of triumph. Come on. Hallelujah.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. Everybody say, oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. Oh, give thanks, say. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is for his mercy. For his mercy endureth forever. For his mercy endureth forever. God, we give you all the honor. Let everything that has breath magnify you. Praise the Lord. Lift up your hands, lift up your hearts for the mighty things He's done. And say, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice. We will rejoice. We will be glad. And this is what it sounds like. Hallelujah, God, we rejoice in your goodness, God. Yeah. Say oh, give thanks, yeah.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett, Westbrook, and Mr. DUMAS.
Somebody just make a thunderous praise in here today. More than just your hands with your voice. Shout unto the Lord with the voice of triumph. Come on. Hallelujah.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. Everybody say, oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good. Oh, give thanks, say. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is for his mercy. For his mercy endureth forever. For his mercy endureth forever. God, we give you all the honor. Let everything that has breath magnify, praise the Lord. Lift up your hands, lift up your hearts for the mighty things He's done, and say, this is the day the Lord has made.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnette Westbrook and Mr. Dumas.
And good evening and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host, along with Gwen Westbrooks, President Gwendolyn Westbrooks, who's joining us this evening as well. I had a few technical difficulties coming on to the broadcast, but hopefully now we're streaming live and you can hear us well. Today we want to talk a little bit about our city that we live in called Macon, Georgia, Hopefully, those of you who live here have a lot of pride about your city and you care about your community and those kinds of things. But we want to take a close look today at something that's been an issue for the city for quite some time, and that's the plague of crime. I understand on tomorrow, the mayor, along with the county commissioners, will be touring the site for the what's the name of the over at the new mall, the new site that they're going to be have the amphitheater.
Oh yeah, the amphitheater.
And
yeah.
so they're going to be touring that on tomorrow. And I'm sure the city as well as the community is excited about all the things that that's going to bring to the city. But we want to know, we want your opinion. As a matter of fact, we want you to call in and give us your opinion. Is Macon a safe place? We want to attract business, we want to attract tourism, we want to attract people to our city. But in order for us to do that, people have to feel good about our city and feel safe while in our city. So we'd love to hear from you this evening. You can give us a call at 478-250-1444. Once again, that number is 478-250-1444. Let us know if you feel that Macon is a safe city to live. I had a few statistics here I pulled up, and I believe these statistics are actually from 2022, but it says that one's chance of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime here in Macon is 1 in 27, and within Georgia. It says within Georgia, more than 88% of the communities have a lower crime rate than Macon. 88% of the communities have a lower crime rate than we have here in Macon. And so there's a lot of work that has to be done. A lot of work that has to be done, through law enforcement as well as through the community. If you see something, say something has always been, our motto as far as crime here in the city. Also, there's a bill that our Republican governor, Brian Kemp, signed from the legislature, and this happened on Friday. Uh, it will create an oversight commission with the power to remove local prosecutors.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how this will affect, the power of the DA in the city.
Well, there are some conversations that has been discussed about this appointment. I mean, this commission. I think he signed it in Savannah. I think when he signed this bill into law. So democracy kind of is just thrown out of the door,
Right.
because these prosecutors are elected by the people, and so most charges or cases that are brought before the district attorney, they have to investigate the case. So if the evidence doesn't warrant the prosecution, then they may not be prosecuted. But when I originally read this bill, when I looked at who introduced this bill, it was kind of based on the fact that when people are protesting, the prosecutors doesn't normally prosecute people that are protesting. So to me,
It's kind of targeting.
yeah, it's kind of targeting to me like a race of people, or the bill was actually based on targeting a particular race of people. And I read an article where one district prosecutor made the statement that they had 7 black prosecutors, but now they got 14 black prosecutors here in Georgia. So I in researching it and in reading up on it, and I think that it's kind of iffy situation you do, because
It's like if you're doing a bad job, of course you would want that to take place.
right.
But
Yeah, in the situation that we're dealing with in state court, the more and more I investigate this case, this may warrant, not saying that someone should be an oversight, because most prosecutors are attorneys. So
Right.
you have the bar,
that's
the Georgia State
oversight
Bar,
for
that's
them.
that's an oversight for attorneys. So,
Right.
you know, they have something similar as for judges. But not all judges are actually elected. So I can see that in judges where you have an oversight, because federal judges are appointed by the president, and they
Right.
stay in their position for life.
Wow.
So I can see that maybe for judges that are not elected, but when the people elect people in positions, to have an oversight, who makes that decision whether or not I'm saying, are these people that gonna be on this panel, or do they have any type of background in law, or is it gonna be a diverse panel? Is it gonna be, who's gonna be on the panel? Is it gonna be a mixture of different parties? Who is on the panel? I think that I don't think that I don't know where they're coming up with this, where it's coming from. I just do know that we have more black prosecutors in positions now, and I think that plays a role in it. But I do I don't think that people I don't think that they're gonna sit idle. Hopefully they'll do something. They won't just sit idle. This basically the same thing with this water authority. You got people who wanted this, they wanted the water authority, where you can remove the water authority board members are elected by the people.
Right.
And so
To just be able to vote them out.
can the governor do we have a panel for the governor? Can the governor be removed because he's voted in by the people? Is it going to be a panel? If you're going to do that, you're going to have to do it for all elective officials, not just for prosecutors. Do it for all elective officials if you're going to do that, which they're not going to do that. So we already know that's not going to happen.
Right.
But prosecutors, they had, just like judges, they have to go by the law, but they use their discretion in some of these cases, and they say that they have the right to use their discretion even though they're going by the law. So if it's just not making sense that you would put an overseer over a prosecutor based because they didn't prosecute certain cases or don't prosecute who you think should be prosecuted.
And the other thing about that, what is the measuring tool, to decide if a case has, should be, prosecuted to a greater degree or
But just
or
think about
degree.
this, Mr. Dumas. You got a panel. For some reason, they don't really care for this district attorney. Not saying the panel does, but somebody has it, in that particular city or a county that they just have an issue with this district attorney, and they decide to take this person through the panel. So, I'm sure it's an appeal process, but the point is, if you have someone want to take it further, they got to end up spending that money getting an attorney to prove that they shouldn't be removed, which is just ridiculous.
And then that falls back on the taxpayer.
Back on the taxpayer. So it's more behind it than I read quite a bit of it, and so it's just too many people of color, and I think plays a role in it that are in positions, and especially when you have prosecutors who look at the fact that that are actually trying to help the community, not prosecute people who need to be prosecuted. But for example, our district attorney here in Bibb County, she's come up with incentives, come up with programs that will help, especially our young people. You see how all this killing our young folks doing, but she's trying to reach them before they get to that point, giving them a second chance. I've attended one of the graduations, the first graduation that she had.
Project Rise.
Right. And so it's about giving them a second chance to change their life, to change the way they're thinking, so they won't go down that road. But you got to catch them at an early age. You can't wait till they get 23. You got to catch them now, And if a child makes a mistake at the age of 13 and they see the consequences that it may carry that could affect their life forever, then they may not go down that road. So you got, let me tell you something, Mr. Doom. We got privatized prisons here in Georgia.
Exactly.
I don't forget exactly how many. I think it's about 5, not 5 or 6. I'm not for sure the number. I need to look it up. But we got privatized prisons for profit.
Right.
So that means that, and it sounds, when you say it sounds crazy, but it's being done. You have privatized prisons that are for profit. So they have to have 90% of those beds occupied in those prisons. So that means that they got to keep people incarcerated.
Exactly.
They got to keep people incarcerated. You got district attorneys and you got prosecutors in office, in positions, and they trying to help the community, and they trying to keep people from going to prison. That is out of the question. And that's part of it too. And they work for free. They work all over wherever they're housed at, or wherever city or county that they are housed in. They got them working. They keeping the yards in the city clean. They got them in different places. It's free labor.
Absolutely.
So you got to look at all that. You can't have a prosecutor. You can't have a solicitor general. You can't have a district attorney that's in the community talking about keeping folks out of prison.
Right. And you know, a couple of years ago, the previous DA that had a program, you know,
We
where
went to the meeting.
right where we went
You
to
and
the
I went to the
meeting,
meeting.
and they talked about the impact of children going before a judge, just the anxiety that it creates and those kinds
Right.
of things. And so, you know, her program is no different. It's pretty much similar to the fact that they're trying to keep young folks from experiencing a life of criminality or getting in that pipeline, prison pipeline.
Yeah.
And so,
I didn't see anything go with that though. I don't really
right,
know. I remember you and I going to the meeting and he discussed that with us, but I didn't see it go off the ground.
right. I don't think
He
it
didn't
ever got
provide
off
it.
the
He
ground.
didn't provide anything showing us, anything that was actually going on with that. So, and it's just these laws that are put into place are basically affecting people of color, and we can't see it. We're going around with all this shooting and killing each other, and we got it's such a larger picture
Right.
that of what's going on. But like I said, it's all about educating people. It's all about the history. Everybody has a history, no matter what color you are, what race you are. Everyone has a history, and I honestly believe that if these young folks knew their history from the very beginning, they wouldn't be doing all this nonsense,
And
because
it's
they would know who they are, know where they come from. They would probably have a better perspective of life, um, and make better choices. But they don't. They the only thing they know is, some of them, the only thing they know is the streets. And I'm not saying criticizing the parents or anything like that, because one thing I do know, Mr. Dumas, you can raise your children,
right.
you can raise them, and you can raise them right. Some have both parents and they still go astray.
That
And
peer
they have
pressure.
good parents, they still go astray. Once your child walks out your door, you don't know what they're doing once
And
they
what they're
walk out that
capable
door,
of
and what
doing.
they right. And
Right.
so, because it's like you said, it's a lot of peer pressure. But it's just been so much shooting and killing. And I'm gonna tell you, I got a phone call. I think it was, I don't know what day it was. I can't keep it. It was Thursday or Friday, and I was actually sleeping. I got a phone call from a young lady, uh, young lady that was killed in Green Meadows this weekend. Well, that last week. I think it was Thursday. But, and I'm gonna say this before I go there. And in the news, they report this stuff, and I just read it, and they had out a shootout. I thought a shootout was when it's more than one person involved and you shooting at each other, or something, a shootout. And from what I'm understood and read, that it was only one person shooting,
Wow.
and he killed his girlfriend's killed his girlfriend in front of her daughter, 7-year-old daughter. But domestic violence. So this is what I want to tell. This is what I want to say on air today. Anyone that's listening, domestic violence is very real, and people sometimes want to criticize, because I've heard some things with this situation. But people be in relationships and they fight, they get okay, and then they're back together. Now, people criticize that. Well, they back with them and blah blah blah. But sometimes people are afraid.
Hmm.
They're afraid to get law enforcement involved. It's because sometimes when you do that, it's you know sometimes you have to end up going in a shelter to get the protection that you need. But I want everybody that's listening, that's renting from an apartment, or in your lease, there is a form that you have that they normally offer to you. They're supposed to offer to you. It's domestic violence against women,
Hmm.
and that form, if you're experiencing domestic violence, that property manager should supposed to, or that property, or the owner, or whoever if you're experiencing that and they're aware of it, even if it takes moving you to another unit, moving you to another property that they have, even if it means moving you to another property they have out of the state, they are supposed to help you with that process. It's called domestic violence against women. Women.
And I'm sure that a lot of women that are not aware of that.
And they may not, but they should be signing there. A lot of times people go into their leasing apartments and they know that they just sign.
Right.
That is a part of your lease. And when people experiencing domestic violence, the first thing that landlords want to do is evict them because they're fighting. Somebody's got to fight. They're into a fight on the property, but that is a part of your lease.
And that should be protection for them.
Right. So you shouldn't be, a lot of times that's what they want to do. Just like I said, they want to evict you because you and your boyfriend or whatever, got into a dispute in your apartment, and that's part of your lease too. You're supposed to live a certain way, but when it comes to domestic violence, you need to read your lease. You need to read what you're signing. And I'm encouraging people to make sure you get a copy of your lease. Make sure you get a copy of everything that you sign. Make sure you get a copy of it, because I can't speak right now because I know that this case is up on investigation, and I'm not gonna speak too much on it, but I just know that I got a text maybe a day or two before this young lady was killed. And so when they called me, and this young lady, she said, Miss Gwen, that was me text you a couple of days ago because this girl was going through so much and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know what I could have done except for refer her to law enforcement to try to get restraining order or protection that she needed. But I just get so many phone calls, but in Texas, people just text me and no name with it or anything like that. But we just got to stop the killing. I want to do. I think that the NAACP needs to speak out about the violence in our community.
Absolutely.
You can't. It's going to take a collaborative effort in the community. And people need to realize that. I saw the little guy's picture. They put it on. As we were speaking, as we were, talking on the phone, he was actually posting on this girl's Facebook page. The little guy that did the killing was posting on her Facebook page as they were speaking with me on last week. But he's very young.
Wow.
I saw his picture on the news. They had it on the news today. I think it was on 12 o'clock news. They had it on the news. He's very young. But the thing about it is, it is something mentally going on with our young folks.
Yeah,
I'm not making an excuse for them because you shouldn't be. I just don't condone killing. Period. I want to make that very clear. But it's a lot. It's something going on with our young folks mentally. That's just taking folks' life and just killing people with any sense of.
No.
I'm saying you just
remorse
come up. You just go to this girl's house and most likely argue. But it's a history though there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a history. Like I said, I can't really talk about a lot because I know it's under investigation. But that's what I say. It's a history with her, and that's why I just don't think that she got the help that she really needed. And people say, well, may say, well, she called the police and then they go, but you just do not know why. Sometimes people are afraid.
Right.
They are afraid to get the police involved. They are afraid to get a restraining order. But I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Dumas. A restraining order, I can just remember when my brother was dating this girl and she had a restraining order. This boy came to her house and my brother was there. But he had no type of care about a restraining order.
Wow.
A restraining order is supposed to protect you, but it does to a certain extent. if you got, if you have to protect yourself and you've gotten a restraining order, then that helps you with you trying to protect yourself. But
If people have no regards to the law, and
yeah, I'm
you
saying,
know,
yeah. And so um, it's just, I just don't know what it's going to take. I don't know. And people, when you say that, I'm not making an excuse, but we do not know what type of history these young folks have.
right. And then when you look at what's happened across the country, I mean, it's just all these
Mass
mass
shooting.
shootings. Just in Texas, what, a couple of days ago, I guess this weekend, went into a mall
Right,
and just firing on innocent people. I mean,
right,
this is
right.
the country we're living in right now, and when it happens in one state, it could very well happen in our city.
And
So
here, yeah. And so, and I just think, just like I said with mental health, we just talked about got the guy that shot, it was killed a person and injured others in the hospital
right,
with mental health, mental illnesses. And so I'm not making an excuse anywhere, about someone killing people, but it's just, I'm talking about folks' state of mind.
right, and
Uh,
I've said, I've said to many people, we to this day don't know the true effects of COVID, the isolation that people were having, what effects that had on people as far as depression, anxiety, and those kinds of
right,
things.
right.
And we may be seeing a lot of this stuff playing out, in the streets as well as in the workplace.
Yeah, I just see Patrick Davis just put something on, put something up about NBC News, about the shooting reported Dallas area outlet mall. Yeah, he put that up there. He's always kind of keeping us informed
Abreast,
and yeah, with the
absolutely.
law and different things like that. We want to thank him for that. But we just, and Mr. Doom is something that I thought about. I guess the Lord, you know, laid it on my heart. I think that we really need to do a citywide prayer. Uh,
Matter of fact, National Prayer
yeah, National Prayer
was
Day
last
was the
week.
other day,
Right.
but what I'm talking about is a national. I mean a citywide prayer for in Bibb County, where we come together, just like we do from all different sides of town.
Right.
We meet up because the people that's doing this shooting need to see the community coming together in unity
Against that kind of,
against that.
right.
It needs to be a citywide prayer for us to come together, and hopefully it can be thousands of people that come together to say that we want the shooting stopped and we want the killing stopped. I just think it just need to be a citywide prayer, and that's something that was laid on my heart, because we can I know the national prayer that was all over the national, but when you got people gathering, if you got two three
Locally,
thousand
yeah,
people gathering here and praying, and it's televised, so we want it to be televised and we want it to be live.
absolutely.
And so that was laid on my heart to for us to NAACP to spearhead that. I think we need to start meeting about it to get.
Because
I,
we've done that in the past, not to that scale, but we
right, right.
um,
We actually walk the community,
right,
and walk in different neighborhoods and talk to different people to try to, find out from them, what was some of the issue. And everybody that we talked to, it came back to our young people with the violence and crime. Some people say, well, I've heard people say the NAACP is not doing anything about the crime, but, you know,
well, they want us to arm ourselves and
yeah, I guess so. That's what
go
they want
into
us
the
to do. I'm
streets
saying the
and
sheriff can't stop people from killing, so I don't know how
wow,
we're gonna be able to stop people
killing each other.
killing. But we'll do everything that we can to collaborate with other. We need to collaborate together to come together to talk about, not just talk about it. You got to have a plan of action. But I don't forgot how many the numbers is now.
Oh, the homicides!
I
I
think
lost
it
count.
was 19 or something last week, I think, but not for sure. But we're gonna have Leon Jones come on our show to kind of talk.
And one of the
to us.
things we got to look at too, the kids haven't even gotten out of school yet, and
Yeah.
crime always kind of increases.
It does, and break-ins, and then I was just actually on the phone I was on the phone a few minutes ago on my way here talking to someone, and I was just telling her, I said, we're going to have a community meeting. I told her, I said, because the summer's fixing to start,
Right.
and a lot of these kids break into folks' houses and different things like that, so we need to be prepared. So we getting ready to have a community meeting so we can get everyone's contact and have a plan of action and some strategy on, because they get into stuff during the summer. And
Absolutely.
I know a friend of mine, they broke in a bunch of kids.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't steal anything. The only thing they did was fix them something to eat and sat down and ate
Wow.
and left. So
Well, somebody stole my two bikes from my home just a couple of weeks ago. So it's starting.
yeah. We got to find them something to do. Hopefully we can get something where we can, the other visions that I have. So
broadcast of the
All right, our
NAACP
time's gone. We'll see you next
with
week.
Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4:00 p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions